be a Raymond. Be someone who reaches out and doesn't expect anything in return and just is kind to the people around you. Hi, my name is Talia. I love books, I love bandanas, and I am so happy that you are at my channel today. Today I'm just going to be chatting a little bit about the books I have read most recently. I have 2 books that were complete and total winners, loved them, and one that was a DNF. Couldn't get through it, gave up. So that is what I am going to be chatting about today. We'll just jump right into it. I finished this one last night, so we'll talk about Eleanor Oliphant is Completely Fine by Gail Honeyman. I had heard about this book for a while. It was published in 2017. I know my book club read it before I joined. It has been pretty popular on BookTube in the past. When I did my TBR and included this, many people said, oh, I loved that book. That's a great one. So I felt pretty good going into it. This was a buddy read with Kelly over at, oh no, what's Kelly's channel name? Oh, Kelly, I'm sorry. When I edit this, I'm going to put up your channel name. I don't know what my problem is right now. Not Kelly Reads All Day. Kelly Reads a Lot, maybe? How embarrassing. Okay, we're going to put Kelly's information right here, and we'll link her below as well because I really had fun reading this with her. So this was much more different than I expected. I knew going into it that Eleanor was a person who was kind of had like a strict schedule and kind of was quirky, didn't really have a normal way of interacting with the people around her. So I was thinking from that description that it was kind of like a man called Ove who's kind of a little crotchety, or the Rosie Project, where there's like the main character that just kind of doesn't get along with people around him, and it ends up turning into like this romance. Because on the back this also mentions that there's this character named Raymond who she becomes friends with and helps her kind of move through her damaged past. So I'm kind of thinking, okay, girl with damaged past, this is gonna be like a love story, romance story, and I just felt like it was gonna be kind of predictable. However, it was so much more than that. It was so much deeper than I thought it was gonna be. So Eleanor, we learned pretty early, she is quirky. She is very set in her ways. She doesn't have any friends. She doesn't really get along with her coworkers. They all kind of make fun of her for being, you know, weird or whatever. She spends her weekends alone, basically drinking, just to make it through from the next, you know, from Friday to Monday. She has her like set things she eats. She doesn't really venture out. She's kind of just set in her ways. But we learned very early that this is because of some severe abuse she has had in her past. And I didn't love the book at first because it was so cringe-worthy, like these conversations she's having with her mother, just how alone she was and how she's accepted that she's alone, and just her inability to connect with anyone, and like saying she was okay but really knowing that she's not okay. It was really heartbreaking. It was just really sad. So then she does end up becoming friends with a character named Raymond, who ends up just kind of teaching you the meaning of being a true friend through his friendship and them helping out this other man who ends up having an accident, and they kind of like both find him and help him get to the hospital and help him get his stuff, and just kind of goes down that path of caring for someone else. It just kind of really helps Eleanor learn the meaning of healthy relationships and helps her be able to, just learn how to move forward and live differently than she has been living. It was interesting because parts were definitely hard to read, but I feel like it never crossed the line of being like, oh yuck, I can't handle this, you know what I mean? And there was so much humor woven in that it just made such a beautiful story. I felt like Raymond was just the kind of friend everyone needs, who is just there for you when you need him to be there, non-judgmental, just completely not what I expected at all. And Eleanor, just as she grows and learns and is able to conquer some of the stuff that she has been through and memories that she hasn't even been able to like process from just stuff that happened in her childhood. It was just so good and super powerful. If I could take one thing away from this book, it would be nice to people. Like, be nice to people even if they are not nice to you. Be nice to people even if you know, there's always someone that's like the grouchy one in your office, or, you know, someone that's like kind of misunderstood. Like, you never know what people have had go on in their past. Like, you never know what people are going on currently, like what's going on in their personal lives. And man, there's so much that can be said for just being kind to someone. Just asking them how their day was, even if they seem unapproachable. You know what I mean? I think we as humans were not made to live alone. We were made to have interaction with other human beings. And just the severe loneliness that was portrayed in this book was so sad. I mean, Eleanor is a fictional character, but there are people living the same amount of loneliness who have just experienced horrible things in their lives. And even not, like, I think loneliness can come sometimes even when you haven't had a terrible traumatic childhood past. It can just come from current situations, or just can hit out of nowhere. And I just think there's something to be said for being kind. Be a Raymond. Be someone who reaches out and doesn't expect anything in return and just is kind to the people around you. Yeah, that's what I got from this book. So loved it. You kind of see where it's going, like in the end, what's going to be revealed about her past. But there was one twist that I did not see that I was like, oh my gosh, I can't believe that happened. So there was that too, which is always nice when there's kind of something you weren't expecting at the end. Yeah, and overall, just a good story. There was one kind of side plot that it was kind of cringeworthy, and I was like, I don't know. This is kind of weird. But it ended up working out okay. And it ended up making sense when you knew more about what she had gone through and what she was experiencing and trying to work through. So if that makes sense. It's hard not to talk about the specific things without giving it all away, which I don't want to do. But definitely recommend. Read it, tell your friends. I think this is a good one, and definitely one that gets you thinking about how you can be a better human to other humans. So yes. Next, we'll talk about the Thursday Murder Club, which I finished recently. This was so good. Richard Osman really knocks it out of the park. So we have 4 elderly people who are living in a retirement community, a pretty fancy retirement community. Like, I think it's the kind of place I want to go when I am a little bit older. It's just like fancy and has nice restaurants and like all these clubs and different stuff to do in it. But these 4 people are part of what they call the Thursday Murder Club. And they meet every Thursday to discuss kind of recent or old cases that are unsolved by the police. And we have like one character is like kind of an ex-spy, and one is a psychologist, and one is like a man, I don't know the word for it, but like led a lot of like riots and protests and stuff. And the other is a nurse. She used to be a nurse. So just a bunch of characters that bring a bunch of different traits and strengths to this group. And I loved it. I mean, it was so neat just how they like developed each of their characters individually and together. It was so funny because basically like they're controlling the show. Like they are like the police think they're in control, but really the Thursday Murder Club is the one doing most of the investigation and then kind of like feeding stuff to the police, which sounds completely unrealistic, but the way this is done is so good. And Elizabeth is kind of the mastermind because she has all these contacts from back when she was working that the police don't have and the police can't figure out. So it's so funny, like just seeing the police and the Thursday Murder Club like working on their investigations together, and then kind of crossing paths and becoming friends. And Yeah, it was really well done. It was the kind of mystery where they kind of lead you, like you think, oh, it's this person, it's going this direction, and then you're like, oh, no, we're going over here. And the way he kind of guided you through it was really fun. It kept me on my toes. And I just really liked it. So this was my book club book for this month, and I actually chose this book. This was my read, and we're meeting this Thursday, but this video will post after that meeting, so I'm super curious to see what the ladies thought of it, and if they liked it as much as I did. I have the second one on my shelf already. I got it at Goodwill for like $2. So I had actually bought that one before I had this. And once I had that one, I was like, well, I definitely need to get the first one to read. So I have, and I loved it. And I can't wait to see where the series goes, because it was super, super cute. Okay, we have to talk about the DNF now. Mexico, Margaritas, and Murder. DNF. It was by Wendy Day. It was a NetGalley pick. Man, I thought it sounded cute, and especially coming after the Thursday Murder Club, I thought it would be like a good fit into my current mood of reading. So we have our main character, I can't even remember her name right now, but she loses her husband, and then the book actually starts out great. Like, she loses her husband from after like 45 years of marriage. She's really sad, she's grieving, but at the same time, the guy was kind of a putz, so she's like, she doesn't like say like, yay, I'm glad he's gone, but like after a couple weeks moping at home, she takes his easy chair and wants to move it out into the front yard, and she ends up like just beating the thing to a pulp and like chucking the pieces out, because she's like, I hate this chair, I'm so glad I don't have to have this in my life anymore. So it's kind of like that, like sort of grieving process she's going through. So she has this friend who's like, hey, you need to get out of this house, let's go on a vacation to Mexico. And she's like, okay, well, I've never been able to travel. My husband didn't want to travel. Let's go to Mexico. Okay. So it sounds like a premise for like a good time. When they get to Mexico, a murder ends up happening, and then they're trying to solve the murder. So again, still sounds like, oh, this could be good. The thing I didn't like was the characters, the writing, pretty much everything. I just felt like once they got to Mexico, it was kind of like they just stopped acting like sweet old ladies and just started acting kind of like teenagers. Like, oh, we're having a good time. And like, it was just, I don't know, it was just weird. Like, they meet this group of like singles who turn out to be swingers. And the main character, old lady's like, oh, I can't believe it. We're talking to swingers. And you're just like, okay, does this have anything to do with anything? And they're like, oh, there's a nudist colony next door, oh my. And you're just like, it's just like so cheesy and like this weird stuff thrown in that you're just like, I don't understand. And maybe if I had kept reading, like those plots would have somehow made sense to the mystery. But then it's like Thursday Murder Club, like these people had things in their past that made them good at what they were doing. And they were like good at solving the mystery. These ladies are just like, oh, now we're at this meeting and let's watch them and see if we can tell anything. And it was just like, it wasn't believable. It wasn't enjoyable. I didn't like the reading. I thought the main character went very quickly from like grieving widow to like teenage girl, like, woohoo, I'm drunk and dancing. And I was just like, this is not believable for me at all. I didn't like it. I think I made it like, I'll have to double check, maybe like 45-ish%. So I really gave it a good go. And I hate to DNF arcs just because, actually I think it was reviewed, I think it came out today. It was still an advanced copy when I got it though, and I hate to DNF those because I want to give it a fair chance to the end. But also there are so many books and I do not want to read that one. I feel like maybe if I was in a different phase of life than I'm in right now, I might like it, because it was like kind of a super casual, like more of a beach read than a mystery. So I can see how people could like it. I'll say that. It's not a book like Chouette that I was like, oh my gosh, I hate this book. I don't think anyone should ever read it. I think there may be people watching that might like this book. But I am not going to officially recommend it. It's probably not going to be one I'm going to come back to. I think we're just going to say goodbye and DNF it. So yeah, sorry about that, Wendy Day. I'm sure there are people who like your book somewhere out there. It just wasn't me. So on that note, maybe I should have done that first so I could move into something more positive, but I have no other books to talk about today. So that is all I'm going to say. I hope you're having a great day wherever you are. I hope you take some time today to read a good book or two, perhaps one of the ones that I did not DNF. And if you're having a bad hair day, just wear a bandana. Bye.